The story begins by introducing a new history teacher and class advisor named Ayano Tanaka. However, Ayano rarely smiles, and she's known for her strictness, earning her the nickname the Iron Mask from her students. Despite being aware of this nickname, Ayano remains indifferent and doesn't pay much attention to her students. One day, a male student named Murai manages to make Ayano angry by writing in his career path sheet that he wants to marry her in the future. Murai is the top student in the class, and this is what triggers Ayano's emotions because she thinks Murai is not serious and is just playing around. However, Murai insists that his feelings of love are genuine and beyond his control, and he has never played around with his life. So Murai genuinely has feelings for Ayano. Upon hearing this, Ayano immediately rejects him and tears up Murai's career sheet. Behind Ayano's tough exterior at school, she leads a secret life at home. While known as a strict teacher in the classroom, Ayano is an otaku who passionately loves 2D game characters, especially one named Hitotose. She not only plays the game but also collects all the merchandise related to Hitotose. Ayano used to be interested in real men, but now she idolizes game characters. Meanwhile, Murai confides in his two friends, Hirai and Kiriyama, about what happened when he got rejected by Ayano. Upon learning that Ayano doesn't like men with long black hair, Murai is determined to change his appearance. The following day, Murai, with short blonde hair, warmly greeted Ayano. Ayano was completely taken aback because Murai looked just like her favorite character from a video game had come to life. As Ayano was teaching her class, she found it hard to focus, worrying about her teacher. Murai noticed and kindly offered to help her understand the new material. However, Ayano couldn't help but be captivated again, as Murai bore a striking resemblance to Hitotose. Feeling nervous, Ayano ended the class quickly. Afterward, Ayano attempted to avoid looking at Murai, because he reminded her so much of her idol. But she couldn't forget her role as a strong-willed female teacher. Unfortunately, the more she tried to distance herself, the more Murai pursued her. Ayano's once peaceful school life now felt burdensome. In an unexpected turn of events, they both happened to be regular customers at a public bathhouse. While relaxing outside, Murai began to wonder why Ayano's attitude kept changing, and they ran into each other coincidentally. Ayano realized that she could stay safe as long as she didn't see Murai's face. However, Murai persisted in approaching her because he wanted to find out if she had a boyfriend. When Ayano replied that she had never been in a relationship, Murai became puzzled by her use of the name Hitotose to address him. He began to suspect that Ayano might have a boyfriend named Hitotose. Ever since Murai's appearance had changed, Ayano avoided looking into his eyes. Fearing that her secret might be revealed, Ayano decided to leave without offering an explanation. Not long after, Murai found Ayano deep in thought on the school rooftop. At that moment, Ayano explained that she had always seen Murai as the smartest student in their class and a lit student. Therefore, she believed it wasn't right for Murai to give up his future for his feelings toward an ordinary teacher. But Murai insisted that he genuinely wanted to marry Ayano. His feelings for her hadn't changed for a long time, even into the future. Hearing this, Ayano thought Murai was being too bold by making promises about the future. She believed that such promises might not necessarily come true, and she asked Murai not to make commitments about the future since people's feelings could easily change. However, Murai had been determined for a long time, and even though there was a small chance, he still believed that Ayano might come to like him, so he was willing to fight for it. And if Ayano chose to ignore that possibility, it would be like ignoring the meaning of his life. As time passed, Murai's new appearance also caught the attention of two other female students, Yuka and her friend Hitomi. They noticed Murai's transformation with short blonde hair and saw a striking resemblance to a ninja character from the game called Love Roll Ninja. While playing the game, Murai finally understood that Ayano idolized the character Hitotose from the game. Murai asked Hitomi to lend him the game so that he could learn more about the character Hitotose that Ayano admired and had plans to conquer the game. On the other hand, when Ayano played her favorite game, she became a completely different person compared to her school self. She smiled more. The following day, Yuka and Hitomi approached Murai with a plan. They didn't want to lend him the game for free and had a different idea. They asked Murai to dress up as Hitotose at a festival event and pay the game rental fee. Murai reluctantly agreed because Yuka and Hitomi also sold Love Roll Ninja game merchandise. With Murai looking so much like Hitotose, they hoped to attract more fans. Unbeknownst to them, Ayano also attended the event in disguise, wearing a wig to avoid being recognized by her fellow students. She did all this to collect rare Hitotose merchandise. However, when she saw Murai role-playing as Hitotose, she was shocked and thought that Murai had known all along that she was an otaku who played love role ninja. Ayano felt like Murai was making fun of her and left feeling disappointed. In reality, it was just a misunderstanding and Murai had only recently learned about the game from Yuka and Hitomi. Wanting to clear things up, Murai looked for Ayano and explained that he had started studying the character Hitotose so that Ayano would notice him. On the other hand, Ayano was actually happy about Murai's feelings for her, but there were two reasons why she couldn't return those feelings. Firstly, because of their roles as teacher and student, and secondly, because Ayano only had feelings for the character Hitotose in the game. She hoped that Murai could understand her situation. Seeing how sincere his teacher was, Murai felt grateful because from now on, they could look into each other's eyes once more. The next day, Ayano's life at school went back to normal. She still had a cold attitude, but no longer avoided Murai. When school ended, Murai was approached by a girl from another school named Fukunaga. She turned out to be Murai's childhood friend, and they hadn't seen each other in a long time. Fukunaga was impressed by Murai's changed appearance. She remembered the Murai of the past, with long black hair, who always protected her. And to this day, Murai remained a good guy who was loyal to helping his friends when they were in trouble. As a result, Fukunaga really liked Murai. The next day, Fukunaga approached Murai again, inviting him to a summer festival event. At the event, Hirai was amazed by Fukunaga's beauty. Hirai couldn't understand how Murai could ignore a girl as beautiful as Fukunaga and choose the stern teacher like Ayano. Meanwhile, at school, the teachers also planned to patrol the festival event, including Ayano, because the students weren't supposed to stay out too late. Coincidentally, Ayano crossed paths with Murai while he was with Fukunaga. When Ayano saw them holding hands, she ran away, unable to accept the sight of Murai with another girl, still seeing him as her real-life idol character. She ran a long distance, and to her surprise, Murai followed her. He tried to explain to his teacher that the girl with him was just a regular friend to avoid any misunderstandings. Hearing this, Ayano felt somewhat relieved. However, not far from them, they heard another teacher on patrol. It would be dangerous if any teachers saw them together, as Ayano could lose her job. Murai also realized this and quickly led Ayano to a safer hiding spot. This reminded Ayano of a moment 4 years ago, when she first encountered the character Hitotose. At that time, she had just started college, but had already lost her sense of purpose. Feeling desperate, she played the love role ninja game and immediately fell in love with the character Hitotose, who had eyes resembling someone she knew. Sometime later, Murai brought a mask for Ayano to wear, which would prevent anyone else from recognizing her. Unplanned, they spent the evening together watching the beauty of fireworks. On the way home, Ayano apologized for sometimes being rude just to avoid Murai. But Murai couldn't forgive Ayano unless she gave him 3 seconds. Just as Ayano began counting, Murai suddenly hugged her tightly. Although it was brief, he thanked her because he still liked her a lot. When Murai left, a man suddenly appeared and hugged Ayano from behind, even daring to pinch her cheek. Seeing this, Murai returned to help Ayano, unaware that the man named Masao was Ayano's elder brother. In addition to being a martial artist, Masao was also a police officer. When Masao heard Murai claiming to be Ayano's boyfriend, he challenged Murai to a duel. Murai wasn't afraid and accepted the challenge because it would allow him to get closer to Ayano. The next day, Ayano met Murai on the school rooftop and was still confused about why Murai had accepted Masao's challenge. Murai explained that he wanted to feel Ayano's cheek. Last night, when he saw Masao pinching Ayano's cheek, he suddenly had a craving for it. Ayano became angry upon hearing this because she didn't want her cheek to be compared to bread. Since that day, Murai had been training hard. At school, the other teachers started to complain about Murai because he often dozed off during class, except when Ayano was teaching. This was because Murai was trying to prepare himself for the duel against Masao. As the class teacher, Ayano met Murai after school and couldn't allow him to continue with his training. At the same time, Fukunaga happened to be there and finally learned about Murai's crush. Fukunaga believed that Ayano's actions were disrespectful to Murai, who was genuinely in love. According to Fukunaga, she thought Ayano was just lonely, enjoyed being pursued, and was afraid to make decisions. Fukunaga admitted that she had liked Murai for 10 years. Hearing this, Ayano became emotional. She couldn't accept being called lonely, enjoying being pursued and a coward, as everyone has their weaknesses. Not wanting to be belittled by Fukunaga, Ayano told her that if Murai won against Masao, he could eat her cheek, and she would admit it. After Ayano left, Fukunaga revealed that she had always seen Murai as her prince. She had worked hard to maintain their relationship for 10 years. Unfortunately, there was no more room in Murai's heart for Fukunaga now, as he had decided to step back to pursue his true love. Although it was difficult for Fukunaga, matters of the heart cannot be forced. After Murai left, Hirai accidentally saw Fukunaga crying and tried to comfort her. Hirai attempted to console her in a way he thought was normal. When Hirai gently touched her head, Fukunaga was reminded of her childhood when Murai had done the same. She felt that maybe Murai's kindness also existed in Hirai. The following day at the school's cultural festival, Ayano registered Masao for a martial arts tournament because he was an alumnus of the school and a former champion. This turned the martial arts tournament into a real showdown between the challenger and the champion. Ayano reminded Murai that if he lost, he would have to fully surrender to her without any exceptions. Not long after, all the students gathered to watch the match between Masao and Murai, including Fukunaga and Ayano. Initially, there was a noticeable difference in strength between Murai and Masao. However, Murai refused to give up and fought for his dream. With just one opportunity, Murai used his intelligence to outmaneuver Masao, causing him to be thrown out of the arena. In the end, Murai won the match and Masao had to admit defeat. Murai immediately reminded Ayano of her promise to let him eat her cheek. However, their conversation had to be postponed because Masao had something important to say. Unexpectedly, Masao came to meet Ayano to tell her that he was getting married soon. When they were kids, Masao had promised to always protect Ayano. But in this match, he was sure that there was a man who was seriously going to take care of Ayano in his place. Hearing this, Murai began to realize that his victory in the match was due to Masao's goodwill. So he changed his mind and postponed his desire to eat Ayano's cheek, because Murai felt that he had not achieved true victory yet. Shortly after, a teacher named Yoshiki became suspicious about Murai's special relationship with Ayano. Ayano invited Murai for a conversation and explained that as a minor student Murai would be protected, but Ayano wouldn't because she was a teacher. So if a romantic relationship developed between a teacher and a student, the teacher would be held responsible. Since that day, Murai stopped approaching Ayano, and Ayano realized that her unusual life with Murai, which had been going on for over half a year, had returned to normal. However, Ayano found it strange to go back to her peaceful daily life without any incidents. Additionally, Ayano couldn't stop thinking that she might have done something wrong to Murai, and she got trapped in negative thoughts, which eventually made her fall ill. In reality, Murai was trying to protect Ayano to keep her out of trouble. With the help of their friends, they tried to dispel Yoshiki's suspicions about Ayano and Murai having a special relationship. Fukunaga even helped by pretending to be Murai's girlfriend to protect the woman Murai liked. Furthermore, every time Murai crossed paths with Ayano, he would always avoid her because Murai knew that Yoshiki was still keeping an eye on them. Yoshiki had advised both Murai and Ayano, saying that everyone was free to like anyone they wanted. However, they should be careful not to make choices that would harm their lives. Misunderstanding Yoshiki, Ayano thought he was forbidding her from liking two-dimensional game characters. She even accidentally revealed that she was an otaku and a fan of Hitotose, stating that she couldn't be expelled from school because being an otaku wasn't a crime. Hearing this, Yoshiki was confused about who Hitotose was, not realizing that Ayano was referring to Murai. They both had a mutual misunderstanding, but indirectly, Yoshiki learned that Ayano was a devoted otaku. On the other hand, Murai continued to distance himself from Ayano because he saw Yoshiki getting closer to her. Shortly after, Murai's class was preparing for their annual winter camp, and Yoshiki was responsible for it. He accompanied the class to meet Ayano. When Ayano and Murai went to collect wild vegetables, they ended up getting lost in the forest. In that moment, Murai asked what made Ayano like the character Hitotose. Ayano answered that what she liked the most about Hitotose was his gaze. Ayano also shared her past, mentioning how she had been ostracized by her friends from elementary to middle school. However, during high school, there was an elementary school student who became her friend. After entering college, Ayano saw Hitotose, and it reminded her of that elementary school student's gaze. Unexpectedly, Murai hugged Ayano and asked her about their relationship if he weren't a student. Ayano didn't get a chance to answer when Yoshiki found them and asked them to return. Later that evening, Yoshiki inquired about Ayano's reason for becoming a teacher. She explained that it was her late mother's unfulfilled dream. After her mother passed away, Ayano was determined to fulfill her mother's dream of becoming a teacher, even though it wasn't her own dream. Unbeknownst to her, Ayano had been working hard to become a teacher, hoping her late mother would be proud of her. When Yoshiki left, Murai suddenly approached Ayano. He asserted that if there was no place for him in Ayano's future, then his life would be meaningless. He also couldn't give up on liking Ayano. Unexpectedly, Murai kissed Ayano's cheek. Unbeknownst to them, the vice principal accidentally took a photo of them. Shortly after, due to that incident, Ayano was summoned by the principal. Ayano was willing to take responsibility and accept the consequences. Unexpectedly, Murai appeared and admitted his mistake. Shortly after, Yoshiki tried to find a reason, claiming that the incident was due to a student punishment game and not a romantic relationship. Yoshiki's statement succeeded in clearing Murai of the accusations. To save Ayano, Yoshiki even wore a ring as a sign that he was engaged to Ayano. Murai and Ayano were both surprised that Yoshiki had gone to such lengths to execute this plan, and they were both finally cleared of the accusations. 2 weeks later, Ayano had not seen Murai because he hadn't been attending school due to illness. Anxious and worried, Ayano couldn't help but think about Murai. She was convinced that he was not a weak person and wouldn't give up on his dreams so easily. The next day, Ayano returned the ring given by Yoshiki. Yoshiki actually had feelings for Ayano, but he realized that there was another man whom Ayano liked. Yoshiki reminded Ayano that if a teacher had a special relationship with a student, the teacher would transfer to protect the student. The following day, Ayano intended to resign so that Murai could return to his previous life. While contemplating on the school rooftop, Yuka and Hitomi delivered a message that Murai was waiting for Ayano in the music room. Unexpectedly, Murai, along with his 2 friends, prepared to sing a song for Ayano. Surprisingly, the song they performed turned out to be one that Ayano had sung during her high school days. The lyrics and music were composed by Ayano herself, expressing her feelings of being abandoned by her deceased mother, while her father was a criminal. Additionally, her elder brother had to leave to support Ayano. Ayano believed she had no place to belong in school and thought that everyone would leave her. Until one day, Ayano met an elementary school student who wanted to be her friend. Eventually, Ayano realized that this elementary school student had grown up to become her student Murai. When Ayano performed a musical, Murai also attended and was deeply moved by the lyrics she sang. Furthermore, Murai explained that the most memorable line in the lyrics was, "Love is the shortest path from one heart to another, and it's a straight line." At that time, Ayano was feeling hopeless and realized that as long as she held onto her bass guitar, she couldn't move forward. Therefore, Ayano gave her bass guitar to Murai. Even though Murai was still in elementary school at the time, he had matured in his thinking and had a deep affection for Ayano. Murai had thought they might be separated at that moment, but if fate brought them back together and they remembered each other, Murai hoped that Ayano would become his girlfriend. Meanwhile, for Ayano, Murai had saved her from despair, so it wasn't Hitotose who made Ayano like Murai, but rather the opposite. Because of her memories of Murai's gaze in the past, Ayano developed an affection for the character Hitotose. Whether in the past or the present, Murai's feelings remained the same, and the reason he didn't attend school was to practice with the band, in an effort to make Ayano remember him. Even though Ayano had remembered, Murai was still a high school student. However, Ayano decided to continue teaching at the school, so she could be with Murai. She wouldn't stop being a teacher. She would keep waiting until Murai graduated and matured enough to be her boyfriend. And the story ends. Moral lesson from the story: the path to love can be as confusing as a cat chasing its own tail. But if you believe in your feelings and are willing to wait, Even the silliest of pursuits can lead to something beautiful.